Well. At 8:44, look who came in. Ho, ho, ho.
Well, I'm a little late, but I brought cookies.
Richard Sherman from Radius. Yes, you did. And you brought them with a Santa hat.
That's true.
All is forgiven.
That's true.
All is forgiven.
I was in a hurry to get here, and I'll apologize to this little Volvo I cut off getting here, and it was really mad at me, and then they got, and rightly so, it was not a very cool thing for me to do, but I was in a hurry because I had cookies, but when they got next to me, they saw the hat, and it was hysterical because they went from really angry to like just waving and saying Merry Christmas. So I'm going to wear this year round now in traffic.
It's brilliant.
It's my thing.
It's brilliant. Richard Sherman from Radius. We always talk about, you come in with all of this information. We were just talking off air. You said, I think I'm fascinating. And I do. And I do. Honestly, I do too, because what you bring to the table is very important information, because as a layperson who's not in your business, if I were to try and get answers from the bank or from my mortgage company, when you call these places, they're not jumping to help you.
They'll lie to you. They'll lie to you intentionally because it's in their interest to do so. And what happens is management will typically tell the peons below them, the lower managers and the people who actually answer the phone, which is kind of the most base level, this is the script. Mm-hmm. And that script, they often don't even know what it means, honestly. But it always benefits the bank. Everything a bank does is done with one thing in mind, and that is to benefit shareholders. If you see a commercial about how great this bank is and they're doing all this good work, it's because they're getting sued for doing something horrendously awful and they need good press to balance out their stock price. Banks don't do anything that is not profitable for them. That's just not the way they work. I mean,
they're the house.
They're the house. Well, sharks swim, banks make money. That's what they do. And if they don't, then they cease to be a bank very quickly. It doesn't mean they have to be that way. Where there's one we've been talking about a little bit, a case that we've been following. I know KHTS has been helping us with it, and I appreciate that very much. There's a family in Canyon Country, a 73-year-old woman. It's been in her house since 2005. She got in some trouble in 2008. A lot of people did. She got a letter from her bank. She had a first and a second mortgage. She got a loan modification on her first, and she got a letter regarding her second. They were both with the same bank. They were with Chase Bank. She got a letter on her second.
I love how you name names, man. You name names.
I'll give out phone numbers. They did it. It's true. This is what they did. Would you like the name of the person we're talking to there? A friend of mine told me long ago, when you believe what you do and you're honest about what you do, you don't run from scrutiny. You welcome it. I mean, anyone wants to come take a look at my records or questions, no problem. Anytime you'd like. I don't mind. I'll be happy to discuss any of this stuff. I doubt Chase would feel the same, and they certainly wouldn't feel the same on this case. What happened is she got a letter in 2008 after she did a loan mod on her first from the same bank who also holds her second. And they said she got 100% financing, a first and a second, which was very common at the time. She got a letter saying, your second loan has been charged off. No further payments are necessary. Great. One less thing to deal with. Now, this particular client, her name is Maria, this particular client thought that didn't sound right. So she called the bank back and said, hey, I got this letter. And the bank said, yep, as of what is it, July of this year, June of this year, your loan was charged off. No further payments are necessary. She went, great.
So now she's got a letter and a phone call.
She thinks she's good.
Okay.
She waits a year, getting herself back on track financially. So 2009 rolls around. She goes, I don't know about that second. I'm going to call him up. So she calls him up again. And miraculously had her daughter call him up. And they say, nope, was charged off last year. No further payments are necessary. She says, fine. Then at the end of 2009, she thinks, one more time, I'm going to call one more time. So 3 separate times she has called. 3 separate times she's gotten the same answer. Your loan has been charged off. No payments are necessary. Wonderful. Job done. One less thing to worry about. Let's jump ahead to last year. Interest rates are low. She wants to refinance. They owe about $410 on a house that's worth about $800,000. They've been making the payment for 17 years.
Sure.
They had a 4.5% interest rate, so they're going to drop to 3.5%, lower their payment, reamortize it over 30 years. Their pennies will be a few $100. Their payment rather will be a few $100 a month. She can retire. Everybody goes on with their life. Great. Or she can get a reverse mortgage. A lot of different options. Got a lot of equity in her house. She then finds out that second, that was 100, and these numbers are important. So pay attention to the numbers. I know nobody wants to do numbers in the morning, but this is going to be important. She has, the debt amount was originally $156,000 and change, $156,000. She calls up, she's told that second still exists. She contacts the bank, and the bank says, yeah, debt still exists. Matter of fact, since you haven't paid on it in the last 14 years, you don't owe us $156,000. You owe us $330,000. And we'd like you to please pay us in the next 90 days because we're going to foreclose on your house. So she freaked out. Got a letter in the mail very quickly from the bank saying, we're foreclosing on your house. So I think it was nice for her to alert them to this problem. They don't usually react because you called them, and in this case they did. Or maybe it was just luck. I don't know. Bad luck. So she gets a letter in the mail saying, we're foreclosing on your house. Kindly cut us a check for $330,000 and change, or we're taking your house. You have 90 days. Now, I don't know about you, but most people I know can't just manifest 330 grand in 90 days to save their house. So they went to, first they called to various people. They got to an attorney I've worked with before. And the attorney said, I got a guy for you to talk to. He does this for free. He knows what he's talking about. Expert in the field, all that good stuff. So they called me. And it's always the same with every client who goes through this. And if any of your listeners are going through this, I'm telling you, you're all going to go through the same thing. It's like the stages of grief. The first thing is, this can't be true. It's a mistake. Then you realize it is real, but you still think it's a mistake, so you're going to get rid of it. And then usually you get far enough up where you talk to an attorney or me or somebody, and you realize, no, this debt is enforceable. You're stuck with it. Then it's, well, it can't be double what the original amount was. They didn't even ask. Nobody even told me I had this debt. How could it have doubled? But yet it did. And the note is enforceable. It's unethical. It's immoral, but it's not illegal. It's legal theft is what it is.
Does she still have, let me just ask a question.
Sure, please.
Does she still have the original letter that said this is charged off?
Do you have many letters that you've had for the last 14 years?
No.
Do you have your tax returns for 14 years ago? I don't have my if you famously on air, if you guys remember, we lost my marriage certificate from 20 years ago, so 30 years ago. So no, she doesn't have it. Nobody ever has it. I've had one client in 30 years who actually, we hear about this story all the time. I've seen these letters a couple times, but I've only had one client who ever kept it. But it's okay though, because her servicer is now SLS, servicing it for the Bank of New York Mellon, who took over Chase's assets. So that's basically the Fed. That's really who that is. The Bank of New York Mellon is essentially the Federal Reserve. It's a different thing, but essentially, because we don't have a bank in the United States. Anyway, they're taking a 73-year-old woman's house. They're throwing her out in the cold. They've said, you can give us $330,000 or else. So we got in there. We tried to get him a deal. So they offered him a deal. Here's the deal that they offered him. SLS, the servicer, for the bank that they're servicing for, offered them this wonderful deal. We will allow you to give us $71,000 up front, which is still better than $330,000, but okay, $71,000 up front. Then you can make a payment of roughly $1,800 a month for the next 40 years. Now, Maria's 73. Now, God willing, she'll live to be 113, but I doubt it. I don't think I'm making it to 113, but it's nice to think about. But even if she does, it gets better. Even if she pays this loan for 40 years, she will have given them an additional $880,000. On top of the 71 she's already given them, on top of the money that she paid between 2005 and 2008 when this went bad. So at that point, she will have given them $1 million, little over $1 million on a $156,000 debt. But here's my favorite part. There's a balloon payment. Want to take a wild guess as to how much the balloon payment is?
I do not want to know.
150 grand. So after roughly 57 years of making payments, after going through all this nonsense, it was charged off, and all this good stuff, she still owes them $150,000 on a $156,000 debt originated in 2005. Now, how the hell a 73-year-old woman who is barely making ends meet is supposed to be able to come up with $1,800 a month additional for the next 40 years? I don't know. So, like I say all the time, and I hate to explain this to clients, it's not illegal. It's unethical, it's immoral, but it's not illegal. There is no real requirement that a bank notify you that the debt is still live, even if they've told you it's not. Because to a bank, charged off just means it's an accounting thing. It's for tax purposes. Now, to the IRS, charged off means of no value, not collectible. So when a bank takes a charge off, they're telling the government, we're losing money on this. We're taking a loss on this on our taxes, which is fine. But then they turn around and they sell it to somebody else. And in this case, they didn't even do that. Of course, the records on the case are hysterical because there's an 11-year gap in the record, but they're sure how much she owes her. Or how much she owes the bank, rather. There's an 11-year, we force them to give us the records. We do this with every file because they have to. It's the law. They didn't conform with the law. They've broken the law a couple places. And the records they did give us have an 11-year gap, which they just shrug their shoulders and say, well, we know how much she owes. I don't know about you, but if you're telling me that I owe you over $330,000 that I didn't think I ever owed, you're damn sure going to have to explain it to me.
How do they sleep at night? That's my question.
It's Christmas. I don't know. They're all getting coal, every one of them. This is SLS, which is servicing for Chase, who's Bank of New York Mellon.
Okay, just
so we know who the players are.
As time is running out, as it always does, because we have so much information. No sorries. Can anything be done?
Yeah, you call me, and we will do everything we can through all the, let's just say, available channels. And then there's some other channels that we follow that are a little bit less available, like we go to the press. We go on the air. We talk about these things. People need to know. See, the only way you stop a thief in your midst, if there is no police force to stop them, is to stand up, point at them, and at the top of your lungs, scream, thief! So everyone else knows that. So all of you out there who have loans with Chase or who would want to get a loan in the future from Chase, don't. This is how they behave. They will steal your home. It is that simple. There is no putting lipstick on this pig. They are attempting to steal a 73-year-old woman's home. Now, it may be legal, but it's not ethical and it is not moral. You cannot tell somebody they don't owe you the money, then 17 years later, 14 years later say, oh, just kidding, you actually do owe the money. Not only that, the money has doubled, and if you don't pay us immediately, we're taking your house. Because coincidentally, years ago, she didn't have the equity she had. She owed more money on the first because she's made her payment diligently. So she owed more money on the first and the house was worth less. There was nothing for them to come after. Now she's paid down her first and the house is worth more, so there's money for them to come after. Every month when she made a payment, what she was doing was making more money for the second, which she did not know existed, and less money for herself. So she cannot retire. She cannot take a second. She cannot refinance her house. She cannot get a reverse mortgage. She is now stuck. And if we're really lucky, we might be able to save the house for her. 6 months ago, she thought she had equity. 6 months ago, she thought she was retiring. She was moving along. Her life was going fine.
So sad. So sad.
It's wrong. It's just wrong.
Richard, thank you so much, as usual, for coming in and explaining these things to us. And the knowledge, the education. We have to keep doing it. We have to keep saying it. We have to educate.
I was asked the other day if I knew what a zombie second was, and I started laughing because about 20 years ago I coined the term.
So,
I didn't mean to make it up. I didn't mean to become an expert in this. That was not my goal. But yeah, I made it up. I was over lunch with a friend of mine named Lou. We came up with this. We've been talking about it ever since because that's what they are. They're zombies. They come back to life. If you are having a problem like this or anything else with real estate, we can fix it. Just give me a call. Don't panic. We do this for free. I'm not an attorney. I do it for free.
What's the number?
661, my personal cell phone, 661-714-1400. I'm going to Disneyland in a couple of weeks. I guarantee I'm going to get calls while I'm online, and I'll be happy to answer them. 661-714-1400. It's Rich Sherman. I'm with Radius Agent. I can fix whatever your problems are. Give me a call.
Fantastic. Merry Christmas.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Seasons.